And Senator Murray, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, hi, everyone. This is Senator Patty Murray. Thank you to everyone for being here with me today. You know, many years ago, when I first went to Olympia as a mom in tennis shoes, it was to fight for my own kids' preschool program. And when I was first elected to state government and later to the United States Senate, I was one of the only people saying, look, childcare is a huge challenge. It's a huge cost. Finding childcare is a huge problem for every parent. And now, instead of telling parents, you're on your own, go figure it out, as we have done for far too long, it is time that we as a state and as a country say, this is our problem. It's not just yours. We are all in this together for our country, for our economy, for our families, for everyone. So it brings me so much joy to see people like Senator Wilson and Representative Sen showing such important leadership in our state legislature and taking this child care crisis seriously and passing bold legislation like the Fair Start Act. I've been following the implementation of Fair Start very closely, and I know it is helping parents and providers in our state, and I am excited to hear from all of you about how it's going today. Because for years now, we've been dealing with this childcare crisis, and the pandemic only made it worse. Too many working parents in our state, in particular moms, especially women of color, are still struggling to find or afford childcare. Too many childcare workers can't make ends meet because they make poverty wages. And because of that turnaround, because of the low wages, we're seeing instability for our kids and for our childcare system. And too many children are not getting the early education that we all know will help them thrive. We all know just how tough it is for families in Washington state to find quality, affordable childcare. During the last decade, Washington state has lost more than 2,000 childcare providers. That is stunning. And even more now are closing the pandemic. I talked to one yesterday that they said if they lose one more childcare worker, they're going to have to close down as well. Besides that, for too many of our families in our state, childcare costs more than college. So not only is finding childcare a challenge, but once you do, it's way too expensive for many of our working families to afford. And now with folks trying to get back to work, this is a giant obstacle for families. And again, of course, particularly working moms. That is exactly why I've been working to fix this all as part of our Build Back Better package. After years on banging on doors in the other Washington, trying to get my colleagues to speak about childcare, COVID-19 finally thrust this silent epidemic into the center stage. And now they're coming up to me and going, wow, Patty, you're right. I'm hearing about this from everybody. So it is finally clear that we need childcare and we need early learning systems that make sure that working families can find and afford childcare, workers get the pay they deserve, and children can get a quality early education. My proposal in Build Back Better means that no working family would pay more than 7% of their income on childcare, with a lot of parents even paying less than that. It would establish universal pre-K for all 3 and 4-year-olds. It would improve the quality and supply of childcare for all children and increase pay for childcare workers so they can make a living wage. Now, this isn't just good for working families and for our childcare workers. It is good for all of our children. It's good for our future, and it's good for our economy. And the best part is my proposal would build on the important work happening here in Washington state, thanks to Fair Start for Kids, by expanding who would be eligible for childcare assistance and funding a lot of what the state is already doing. So the state's efforts here have really put us on the right path, but it is going to require a major federal investment that bolsters what our state is doing to meet the full scope of this crisis. And I am pushing really hard to get that done in the other Washington. Now, there's a lot of chatter I know about whether or not we're going to be able to pass Build Back Better. Well, I want you to know I'm not listening to that. I'm doing the work. And I'm talking to every one of my colleagues about why action on childcare is absolutely necessary. And I'm going to keep at it. And I hope that the next time we're all on this call, it's to talk about how Washington state is going to implement my childcare proposal. So it is great to be here with all of you. I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and I'm going to turn it over to Senator Wilson to begin to talk about how things have been going with Fair Start.
Thank you so much, Senator Murray. I am Senator Claire Wilson, representing the 30th Legislative District, and I am just so honored to be in this space with you all today to really talk about the ongoing investments that we need to make in childcare. I have been working on this for 40 years from the outside, and being inside in the Senate now, being able to make the difference that I know we've been trying to make for so long has been an absolute honor. We were able to pass the Fair Start for Kids Act, which was really landmark historic legislation for our state that really provides both accessible and affordable access to childcare for families. We'd worked on child care quality a while ago, but we're not able to deal with accessibility, and that's what this does. It also increases the supports and resources that providers who care for our kids so desperately need. Childcare, we know, has been a long time challenge, and as you heard, the pandemic has just exacerbated that issue. And the state of childcare has also been inequitable, and it hurts families, and it's hindered also our state's economy. No longer are supports for childcare only for families who are experiencing poverty. And we saw that greatly when we think about the birth through 12 scope of care, and when then K-12 systems shut down and schools closed. Many people, it was the first time that they really realized that for many, school was the care setting for children. And it became very, very evident and impacted folks across our state and really across our country. And Fair Start for Kids, I will say, is one of the best return on investments that we've made. And it really has begun to change people's lives. And we've heard stories already from individuals who have been impacted, from things like copay caps of $115 to increase subsidy reimbursement rates and healthcare stipends for childcare workers, for grants for dual language support, for infant toddler mental health consultation, for equity grants, trauma-informed care, and it goes on, and it's a great start, but it's not enough. So I am incredibly thrilled to have Build Back Better be part of a tandem play with Fair Start for Kids. And together they'll just continue the work that we've already started, as you heard earlier. And I am excited to continue the conversation and to know that families will understand that their children's health, their safety, their spirit is safe within someone's care while they're at work or doing what they need to do. So Senator Murray, I look forward to continuing our work together to make sure families across the state and country get what they need, and that we can continue to deal with this critical issue. And without any further ado, it is now my absolute honor to introduce my colleague and co-creator of Fair Start for Kids Act, Representative Thomason.
Thank you, Senator Wilson, my policy partner. I am Thomason, state representative from the 41st Legislative District and co-sponsor of the Fair Start for Kids Act and co-chair of the House Moms Caucus as well. Thank you, Senator Murray, for your national leadership on childcare and, frankly, on so many other mom and tennis shoe issues. The Fair Start for Kids Act would not be what it is if it were not for your foundational work, and neither would Build Back Better. Here in Washington, we passed the Fair Start for Kids Act, and let's pass Build Back Better in the other Washington too. Do you know what the Olympic Medical Center, Boeing, Dick's Drive-In, Schweitzer Engineering, and the hospitality industry have in common? They provided foundational advocacy last year on the Fair Start for Kids Act. Business is really a critical voice on childcare and early learning, and no wonder. The Chamber of Commerce report showed that Washington state businesses lose $2 billion a year due to the lack of childcare. When employees do not have access to childcare, there is missed work, high turnover, and fewer job applicants. For those employees, their concerns are first and foremost, can we find it? Can we afford it? And is it of high quality? The business community, led by the Association of Washington Business, was a strong supporter of the Fair Start for Kids Act and advocated for some fundamental issues that we included in Fair Start and we hope are critical, and we know are critical for Build Back Better to include as well. And they are requiring that early learning programs be of high quality. That is how we see the gains in brain development, social emotional learning, and long-term academic success. We also must ensure that pre-K and childcare complement, not compete with each other. We need to recognize the importance of non-standard hours to meet the demands of construction, healthcare, and other shift and round-the-clock workers. We need to maintain options for parents, family homes and childcare centers, public and private. And of course, we must ensure that we're paying childcare providers a living wage and healthcare benefits to support this mostly female and women of color workforce. It's better for the adults and for the kids. What the business community knows is that access to affordable, high-quality childcare facilitates their hiring of the best talent. What I like to call the she session that we saw during the first wave of COVID brought women's employment down to 1989 levels. That's a brain drain on our economy. And ensuring access to early learning for all families, regardless of race, socioeconomic status, or region of the state or country, grows the current and future diverse workforce needed to meet the demands of the 21st century economy. Regardless of the perspective we come from as a business, a parent, a childcare provider, or a policymaker, we must be sure we're answering parents' questions with a yes. Can you find it? Can you afford it? And is it of high quality? To do this, we must fully fund early learning. Now, it is time we make the kind of investments that allows every family to access high quality childcare and preschool, that we pay providers a living wage, not just in Washington state, but across the nation. Frankly, the Fair Start for Kids Act was last year's news. It is time this year, now, for Build Back Better and a federal commitment to childcare and early learning for our businesses and our economy, our childcare providers and owners, our parents and our kids, and for our future. It's my honor and pleasure to hand the mic over to Lois Martin.
All right, thank you very much, Representative Sen. My name is Lois Martin, and I am the owner director of Community Day Center for Children in Seattle. Our center was founded in 1963, and I have enjoyed directing the site for 30 years. First, I want to thank Senator Murray for always reaching out to community members to hear our stories. Your passion for families reminds me very much of my mother, Lula Martin, who died at the age of 90 in 2011 after nurturing children, primarily Black single mothers, for nearly 60 years as a child care director, owner, and foster parent. My parents were some of the first that worked through Casey Foundation. Senator Murray's desire, along with Representative Sen and Senator Wilson, to secure funding for families and my field made me reflect on where I would like to see more federal investment. Our country cannot afford to wait until children are in the K-12 system and think magical learning will happen. We must be intentional in providing students from birth with the educational and other tools they need to be successful. So in order to have a sustainable childcare system, we need federal investment, and it must be based on a provider's rate, not a state set rate. In Washington state, subsidy rates sit at about 75% of market rates. In this cost model, our staff and small businesses subsidize this 25% gap by wage compression and low to zero profit margins. It is exciting to think of a society where a family's childcare payments are capped at 7%. But that also means we need a real federal investment that must bridge this ongoing fiscal gap so the cost of care is no longer on the backs of those who do the work. We need grants directly to child cares based on actual expenses, similar to how PPP funds were distributed. This would make a huge difference in helping providers keep our doors open and benefit a mixed delivery environment and support parent choice without families having to jump through qualification hoops. It would also avoid states having to figure out allocation algorithms that may have unintentional, inequitable consequences. Thriving wages for educators is paramount to retaining and attracting staff. My colleagues often share the importance of a living wage, but I dare say we must go a step more. We need federal funding to give early care educators a thriving wage. And a thriving wage isn't based on educational attainment, but in the words of Dr. King, all labor has dignity. Providers need a thriving wage simply for doing the job of nurturing our youngest learners. Dr. King was adamant that those in the service industry should not have to accept less in order to serve others. This is just the tip of the iceberg on my federal wish list. And I would love to share more, but for the sake of time, I want to wrap up. But I want to share something with you. I'm going off screen for a second because I want to share my goddaughter and her lovely twins who really were able to make it through this last year because of the money that was shared with them through the child tax credit. This is a real family that benefited from this. And so I just want to share them with you because I think they're adorable. I'm a little biased though, but I also want to say because it also makes me understand how thankful I am that our state has Senator Murray in DC fighting for policies that support families and children. Together, we can push for a world where Dr. King's desire for economic justice is no longer a dream. And I thank you, and I'm going to turn this over to my friend and colleague, Mary Curry.
Hello, my name is Mary Curry, and I am a family child care worker in South Tacoma. I also serve as SEIU 925 Family Child Care Chapter President and Family Friends and Neighbors. You know, I had so many things that I wanted to share when I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to be given the opportunity to actually see and meet Senator Murray. I was ecstatic because I remember even as a child, my mother saying, look, you got to, sometimes you have to put on your tennis shoes and get to work. And with your life experience, as well as all of the people that I'm working with now, Senator Wilson and Representative Sin, and as well as Ms. Martin, I tell you, we have tried to, in our state, come together in a way that has shined the light. We understand that COVID is here, and then we didn't just appear. You know, childcare has been an issue for over, from as long as I can remember. But I am thankful to the fact that we have a state that is committed to helping us get through this. Understanding that a livable wage does not mean, making minimum wage. We have to be able to live. We have to be able to support our families. And many providers shouldn't have to take out 2 and 3 additional jobs. And I'm talking about, I know family providers that leave their place from at the end of their day and then go take on another job just to stay in the field. We need to support. And we need to, continue to lift them up. And at the end of the day, I will say that COVID did shine the light, but the issue was always present. So it is my hope to continue the work with all of you amazing people from here, supporting the Fair Start Act, as well as supporting Build Back Better. I know for sure that the union is behind. We're behind we're behind the Fair Start Act, and we're also behind Build Back Better because we want a better future. We want legacy for our communities. We also want to encourage parent choice. We are so thankful that being family providers and FFN providers, parents have an opportunity to pick out a program, a quality program in their native language, that is supported by our state. So I want to continue to say, we're behind you, we're working beside you, we're working behind you, we're linking arms and making this a way for us to move forward. So thank you.
All right, thank you to all of our speakers for their remarks and sharing their stories. We've only got about 5 outlets on, so normally I would say go ahead and raise your hand, use the raise your hand function to ask your questions. But for any of our reporters who are tuning in right now, if you have a question, just go ahead and unmute, let us know your name, your outlet, and who your question is for. All right, just want to do one last call for any questions for any of our reporters in case anyone is away from the desk while they're recording. Seeing none, I'll turn it back over to Senator Murray for closing remarks.
Well, first of all, Lois, Mary, thank you so much for those personal stories and your passion for making sure that all of our kids get the kind of support that they need and our parents have the support they need to help our country work the way we all want it to. And Representative Sen, Senator Wilson, thank you for your groundbreaking work here in our state to help pave the pathway forward for all of us to finally deal with an issue that is every parent's morning stress. And it should not be. If we do this right, we can get people back into work, help our economy move forward, help our communities, and make sure our kids are well taken care of. As I have always said, you only do a good job at work if you know your kids are being taken care of well. We want a thriving economy. We want a country that works. We want families to lose that stress, and we want it to childcare to be affordable and accessible. And I'm going to keep working with all of you till we get this done. So thank you so much. It's great to see all of you. And let's keep working.
All right,
you so
thanks,
much.
folks. That concludes today's press call. This was recorded and we will be distributing widely. Thanks, folks.
Thank you all.
Thank you.